Hey everyone, I just got a cat, so he's trying to sit in my chair. So, alright, hopefully he'll sit right there. Okay, now I'm going to add my guest, Delan. Bless you. Alright, ooh, Delan's here. Can you hear me?
Hey, hey,
Hey, what's up?
hey, nothing much. How's it going?
I'm good. Thank you for joining me.
Awesome.
Yes,
Awesome. I'm excited.
great. Yes, this is one of my good friends. This actually feels like one of my cousins rather than my friend,
Yeah.
for real. We've known each other for a very, very long time. So it's wonderful to have him here. Tell us about what you do and who you are.
Well, I'm Delan. Delan Marquise is my stage name. I produce music, I write music, I perform music, kind of all things music, and I get into the I do video editing and just techie things like that. But yeah, mostly music and editing and things like that. So
Okay,
yeah.
that's awesome. Well, yes, thank you for joining us. So tonight, what do you have to drink? Do you have anything special to drink tonight?
I do. I have
Okay.
water and juice.
Yes, I got some water as well, and my cup actually says what we're talking about. Like it says inspired, so that's
Awesome.
pretty. Yeah.
Do you mind if I put on my AirPods? I think
Oh, sure. Go ahead. Yeah.
you hear me.
Is that better? Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah, that's better. That's a lot better.
Okay,
Okay,
cool.
awesome. Yeah. All right. Yep.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, I really haven't been feeling alcohol either. Like I've just been drinking water and like tea and
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah.
I
I didn't.
know.
It wasn't the night for it, and I think I need some water in my life.
Right. Yes.
Honestly. Yeah.
Definitely.
So we're gonna keep it on a healthy tip today. Water and juice.
For sure.
I do got it in the double solo cup. It's hefty though, but
Okay.
nonetheless.
Nice. Yeah. So, do you have anything special to create with tonight? I got some oil pastels and
Uh-huh.
some watercolor pens. So, we're gonna see how that goes tonight.
Oh, oh, you fancy for real? Um, nah. I got a paper,
Okay.
but I'm gonna make it do what it do. Don't worry. I got
Nice.
a pencil and I have a pen. Now
Nice.
let me explain. I was supposed to get some art supplies, but
Okay.
I just it fell through. It didn't
That's
work out
okay.
for me. But
That's
I'm gonna create a masterpiece with the paper, the pencil, and the pen, and I hope to shock everybody with what I create.
yes. 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 Hey, hey, from Mexico. We love you.
Ooh,
Aunt
Mexico in
Veronica.
the house.
Yes.
Oh, Restoration Center. Shout
Yeah,
outs.
Auntie Ronnie. Yes, yes. Okay, so we're gonna be talking about inspiration tonight. We're gonna go get into it. So, how would you define inspiration?
Um, to me, inspiration is anything that motivates you to create, um, but not in a sense of just create that most
Hmm.
people think of, but I think create in general that too, but just produce life for yourself, for the people
Hmm.
around you, whether it's visual art or whether you're trying to create better circumstances for yourself. I think that's what inspiration is. It's stuff that drives you to do that and things that you can look up to, or even sometimes things that come from below where you're at the time can even inspire you to create and make things.
Yeah. Okay, I like how you put it. So what do you mean, like even things that are below you at the time? Like, would you
Well,
expand on that a little bit?
um, yeah, I think that sometimes, for example, I'm trying to think of a good example. Oh, okay. So for age, for example, you might think
Mhm.
that sometimes you might not be able to learn or be inspired by a kid. But I work with
Okay.
children as well, for my
Yeah.
regular job, and kids
Hmm.
are one of the most inspiring things, or some of the most inspiring individuals to be around.
Absolutely.
And so a lot of people, well, not a lot of people, I can't put this on everybody, but some
Right.
people don't think that you could draw inspiration from something as that's below you in age as an example. You
Yeah.
know, might maybe you make a lot of money and somebody might not make too much money as you, so you don't look at those people for inspiration. But,
Right.
sometimes those people can be inspiring too, or just, just different levels in life. Sometimes you just have levels that are maybe somewhere that you've came from. So I think that we should all be able to look back, as well for inspiration, as well as look up for inspiration.
Right. Definitely. Like I agree. Like, cause a lot of times in the workplace, like you'll see like older people be like, yeah, I can't really learn from them or whatever because, they're younger or they don't have this degree or that degree. Like, I don't know. I come across that a lot. So I definitely agree with what you're saying.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
So
that's
where do
exactly.
you find inspiration the most?
Hmm. I would say experiences. Um,
Mm,
I
yeah.
don't have any one individual that's mostly inspiring to me,
Mhm.
um, or any one circumstance or situation,
Mhm.
but life cumulatively, I'm stumbling on that word. But yeah, just life in general is, and the
Yeah.
experiences that you have going throughout life is where I find my inspiration. Because I like to tell stories a lot through what I
Mhm.
do, and I feel like you
Yeah.
get your stories from seeing stories, and
Mhm.
yeah, life is just one big story full of different chapters and things, and so that's definitely where I draw my inspiration from the most.
That's good. That's really, really good because it's hard for a lot of people to do that. Like, reflect on things. Like the other day, I was just sitting. There's like a specific hour that I do this. Like it's between 4 o'clock and 6 o'clock in the morning. Like I will just get up and just write or paint or whatever. Like however the spirit moves me. So I was just sitting there, just thinking about a very painful time, and someone's just like, just write it, like just write it. And I couldn't stop writing. Like I couldn't literally, how you're saying, like the experiences, like I seen it, like I would just see everything. I'm like, dang, like I didn't even
Yeah,
know if I remembered that. Like I wanted to talk about this, but I didn't think I could. But once you give yourself that time, you're right. Like you can definitely just draw from yourself. So that's good you're able to
yeah,
do that. Because a lot of people get so distracted, myself included, like I was so tempted to draw stuff about this slap that happened. Like I was really gonna draw something about that, but I was like, no, like there's no point. Like there's so many things. Like the internet was ready. Like they were just
yeah,
real. So I just yeah, it takes a lot. Like there's a lot of distractions, but that's really good that you're able to see yourself as a resource of inspiration because it's the most important for sure. So
yeah.
is there a difference between inspiration and influence? Do you think there's a difference?
Mm, Now, let me see. I think, like I said, inspiration is something that drives you to create.
Mm-hmm.
I think influence is a little different. I think influence falls under, or inspiration falls under the broader category of influence, because
Mm-hmm.
you can influence somebody and that can inspire them as well. but I feel like you can
Yeah.
also influence people and it not be so creative or so productive. I feel like inspiration generally has a positive connotation to it, whereas influence doesn't always have that. Definitely, people can be bad influences, things can be bad influences. So I definitely think there's a difference between influence and
Yeah.
inspiration, but I do think that they relate to each other as far as inspiration being under the broader umbrella of influence. But yeah,
Yeah, I agree. I think they're definitely can play off of each other, but like you said, you can definitely influence someone to do the wrong things, or someone can influence you to do the wrong things. Like, and I know you mentioned you work with kids, and I know you work with kids. So, is it hard to, like, did you get to a certain point where you're like, okay, I gotta watch what I'm doing or saying around these kids because like they just picking up everything, like,
oh
how
man,
how do
yeah,
you, how do you balance between that, like, dang, like I really gotta watch what I'm doing because I really am, like, everything I say to them, it does affect them in some way.
yeah. That's especially funny because I've had that situation happen firsthand. Not too long ago, this past school year.
Hmm.
And I still don't know if it was me. That's the thing. But let me explain. So I had a
Okay.
kid. He was this younger kid, and he was very proper, and you know, he was just a cool
Hmm.
kid. He was a kindergartner, and
Okay.
obviously very influenceable, if that's a word. And so yeah, I'm trying to think of what was it that I was saying to him. Oh, you said what? So I would notice that the little boy started saying, "You said what?" And shortly after
Uh-huh.
noticing that, I noticed that I said, "You said what?" So, like, after somebody says something and you can't quite hear them, maybe they're mumbling or something, you're like, "You said what?" And then so
Right.
I was like, "There's no way that I caused them to say that." So I kind of brushed it off. I wasn't thinking about it too much. I was just like, maybe he got that from somebody else, some other
Right.
teacher in the program or something. It couldn't have been me. But then his
Yeah.
mom one day came to pick him up, and she was like, "Let me
Yeah.
ask you something." He started saying, "You said what?" Do you know where he got that from?
No, I have no idea. Like.
Exactly. Exactly. I was like, he's in kindergarten. They're in school now. They're around a bunch of,
Right.
different ways of talking, and
Yep.
I tried to play it off in some way, but then after that, I was so aware of what I was saying. And normally I am. Typically I am, but I think
Mhm.
that last year during COVID, things were just so relaxed. And
Right.
normally what I do is before and after care. So we don't spend that much
Mhm.
time with the kids. But during COVID, it was like we were
Mhm.
teachers because we were in the schools with them.
Oh
Um,
man.
yeah, and the kids would come to school in their pajamas because they were doing things virtually and stuff like that. So it was like a really relaxed atmosphere. So all the
Mhm.
other teachers being around and the staff and all of that was gone. So yeah, a
Mhm.
couple you said what's man came out and influenced the kid and inspired him to begin using that language as well.
Well, yeah, that I feel like it's always hard when you're working with kids because, like you said, you can never tell, like, did what I say really, if, like, help this kid or mess him up? Like, I don't know. We gotta try, like, you have
Yeah,
to be around them for a while, like, and you just end up being so many different things to the kids you look after as well. But so yeah, it's just hard to figure out, like, am I really inspiring them or whatever. But I guess you can tell based upon the feelings, like, you can tell when a kid likes you, like, or like you really made an impact. So because you can tell from the feelings, like I have some mentors that I still talk to from when I was 13.
oh
So
wow,
it's like, yeah, so it's just like those
yeah,
people really helped me out in life. Like they helped me get jobs to this day. So it's
yeah. I feel the same way, and that's definitely how I what I think about when I'm interacting with the kids. Because
Mhm.
sometimes, especially working with kids, and for me, it's hard to like say things that I'm thinking in a language that they would understand. For instance, like bullies, and then trying to explain to them that people are going to be butts your whole life, and that
Yeah.
you kind of have to you kind of have to learn to deal with it,
Right.
because but especially with the kids, they don't necessarily understand that concept yet. But I'll still help them immediately with dealing with whoever's aggressing
Hmm.
them. But I still tell them that. So hopefully one day in the future they'll realize that this is what Mr. D was saying.
Right.
When they're dealing with that butthole when they're at their job or at their workplace.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah. They will, because I've definitely had those times where I'm like, dang, that's what they were talking about. Like, how are they coming in here with me, like dealing with my stuff, and this is what being an adult is like. Like, this is crazy. So
right, right,
yeah.
exactly.
But can you recall where somebody like influenced you to do something that wasn't necessarily the best thing to do, and you didn't even realize, like, dang, like they got me caught up in a mess. Like, have you ever dealt with something like that? I know I have.
I definitely have. I don't know if you're asking for specific situations.
Yeah, like if you, I mean, whatever you like to share. Like, how did
No,
you?
no, no, no. I just can't think of anything. I mean, I know I've ran into that situation before, being influenced to do something I didn't want to do.
Yeah.
But uh sheesh. And then I did it. That's the thing. Because I've
Right.
definitely had people pressure me, and I'm like, nah, we're not about to do that, Slim. But
Right.
nah. Oh, you know what? Yes, the first thing that pops in my head, and he's on right now, Dylan. He's watching this, so he's gonna know. Um, we were at the mall, right? And the Lego store in Potomac Mills Mall. I don't know if y'all know about the Lego store in Potomac Mills Mall, but we
Mhm.
were there, and we had to have been like fresh out of high school or something, and we were just browsing around. We was in the Lego store just looking at the Legos, and at the end of the day, because I don't remember what happened in between or how we got to this point, but we walked out with like two of the containers of Legos, because you can like scoop them up. If y'all know like the candy stores where you can go and
Yeah.
you can get the scoops of candy and put them in your bag, you could like go to the Lego store and grab different size cups for different prices and fill them up with
Yeah.
any type of Lego. So we filled them up with a bunch of Legos, and we just walked out and left. And yeah, you definitely influenced me to do that, Dylan. I ain't even gonna sweat you. I ain't gonna hold none of y'all. But he probably hates me right now for throwing him out there like that. But yeah,
That's all right.
yeah, that's definitely one time I can remember.
Okay.
Um,
Yeah,
yeah, I
that's
was pretty
funny.
straight edge though, so it's like it's hard
Mhm.
because people would influence me to do things, but I was always that kid that was like, nah, I don't think y'all go ahead and do that. I'm good, you
Yeah.
know.
See,
Yeah, there's some times with you too that I can think about, but I'm not throwing you out there either.
like, bro, like, hey, I was sitting there trying to think. I was like, man, have I ever? Yeah, I've definitely been the person to do something like that, like to be like, hey, go ahead and But I feel
Yeah.
like I don't know. Like, I feel like I've been that person as well. Like, as far as like on how to like treat people, like maybe not necessarily someone have said like, hey, we don't like that person, but just how they act towards them, like
Ooh,
it might make me adjust like how I'm acting towards them. And that
that's
was I
crazy.
don't really do that now, but yeah, I've definitely been there.
That's funny that you say that because when you first asked me the question, that's the first thing I thought about, and then I went blank. And I can't think of, but that's so, I feel like that's one of the most common examples of people
Hmm.
influencing you, just being in different friend groups, especially being
Hmm.
younger when you're just trying to fit in anyway, and you're still finding yourself, and it's easy to be influenced. And then if your group of people is like, we don't like them, like you don't
Hmm.
like them.
Right.
You might not even know who they are from jump, but you don't like them just
Right.
because the people you
You
rock
just don't
with
like
said
them.
that they don't like them. So yeah, that's
Yeah.
definitely a really good example. I agree with you on that.
Yeah. And that's wow, because I feel like I don't know. I feel like times now, like with all this cancel culture and stuff, like everybody's taking that really seriously. Like they're like, yeah, like don't buy any of their stuff. Like they did this stuff in 1912. Like, okay, we get it.
Yeah.
Everybody has a past. Like I'm not saying vouch for the assholes or whatever, but like at the same time, we all have a past. Like so,
Yeah.
just dang, like I don't know, but
Yeah.
hey.
That definitely that's definitely making sense because just the other day I was in the mall and I seen this nice heel figure jacket, and I was with Christina and I was like, oh nah, we don't do heel figure, he racist. And it's like, for real, you gonna stop that from getting,
Right,
I mean, that's kind of a thin line, though. But I see what you're saying. It's definitely,
right.
yeah, it makes sense.
I understand, like, because that is very hard a lot of times to be like, okay, well, separate the artist from the art or
Right, right,
whatever. It's really hard because then you're like, oh, it depends on what they did, but so it really depends on your perspective. Like, where do you draw the line? Like, if you think this person is still able to be on your list, like, I still like, okay. A lot of people probably look at me crazy for this or whatever, but I still like Travis Scott. Like I really like his music. I really do.
yeah,
Oh, nice.
I'm
You gotta
getting
keep
somewhere.
going.
I
Okay.
am. I just wanted to
Okay,
show y'all
cool.
because yours is on the nice easel and everything.
Oh, okay, cool.
I can't hold mine up like you, so I didn't want y'all to
Cool,
think that I
great.
wasn't listening. I'm listening. I'm doing my art too. So I'm
Okay,
sipping my
cool.
water and my juice.
Nice.
Yes, it's a
Yes.
vibe.
Oh God.
I
Yes.
love it.
Bad. Yes. So I I still like his music.
Yeah,
Like then there's people like R. Kelly or whatever, and I'm like, but we all know there was some suspect things going on with that, but I'm just like, yeah, like it is really hard to just draw that line. Like, where do I stop being inspired by your music and look at your
right.
life? Like, and I mean, just like with Will and Jada and all that stuff. Like I really looked up to Jada Pinkett, like because she's from Baltimore. I'm like, yeah, like DMV, like she could do all these great things. So can I. And like when she
Yeah.
came out with the Red Table Talk, like I was hesitant to. I had this idea to do Wine and Paint since 2020. So I
Mm-hmm.
was like, oh man, when she came out with that, I was like, well, she's doing mental health stuff. Like, let me just sit back and see what happens. And like hers,
Right.
maybe the first couple shows, like she talked about a few mental health things, but then after that, it was just putting everybody's business out there, and then
Oh.
her own. So I'm just like, okay, that's not really what I want to do or really
Right.
about anymore. You know what I'm saying? So then all this stuff with Will, and now I'm just like, dang, I feel bad for the brothers. So it's just like how your mind changed, like what you're feeding yourself. I guess that really changes what you're inspired by. Really.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think as you grow and you realize what you like and what actually appeases to you too changes, the
Right.
same thing.
Definitely. Yeah, I agree. So, what do you think? How would you define motivation?
Mm. Um, Motivation.
Hmm.
I think that's also another close one to inspiration. Um, but motivation is, I think, strictly from within, as
Hmm.
compared to inspiration. I think that you can, because people say, "Oh, I'm motivating you," or "I motivated them," or "He motivated me to do this."
Mhm.
But I feel like it's still something that you had to make a choice to do.
Right.
And normally, when you say you were motivated, it's when it was a choice.
Right.
So I was motivated to take this option versus taking this option. Um,
Mhm.
so yeah, I think that's motivation. It's definitely an internal, an internal thing that happens.
Yeah.
And you can be motivated to also do things, and that's why I said it's close to inspiration, because you can be motivated to change things in your life, and you can be motivated to go work out, but that's still a choice. It's still an option, and I think it's still a this or that type of thing,
Right.
because I can be motivated to go to work today, or I
Mhm.
could not be motivated to go to work,
Right.
but it's still a choice whether I'm going. So, you know, I
Mhm.
you see what I'm saying? I'm not trying
Yeah.
to make it
No, no, no.
complicated.
No,
You go ahead.
I definitely I'm going along with what you're saying as well because I feel like it's like actions behind these, I guess, inspiration or whatever, like
Yeah, yeah, it's
things
like
that
the
keep
action part
you.
of it.
Yeah, it's like the
Hmm.
action part, like the things that keep you like, okay, I'm gonna do the next thing or I'm gonna do the next thing. So I do really think that has to come from within you because I've tried so many times to get my way down with people and by myself and other things, but like until I just really decide like, okay, I'm gonna go outside and do this, like it's not gonna happen.
Yeah,
Like,
right,
yeah. So just
right.
until you like you said, like other people can inspire you, but the motivation really has to come
Yeah.
from within you.
Even
Like,
like, oh,
hmm
go ahead.
no, I was just gonna say you could listen to inspirational podcasts all day and whatever, but it's still not gonna make you get up and move. So,
Right, right. That's exactly what I was about to say. I was going to say even with motivational speeches, like the
mhm.
word motivation is in the term, but
Right.
you could go and listen to 100 million motivational speeches all day, but if you don't
Mhm.
make that decision inside to do whatever they're trying to motivate you to do, it's not going to happen. So,
Nope.
yeah.
Yeah, I totally agree. Like, when can you think of a time when you were like most motivated, like in life, or like revved up, like yeah, I'm ready to get up this morning, like do this, like
um the most motivated I can remember being is probably around now, and um because now I feel like getting like having more of a solid grasp on the things I want to do and in life and stuff, so that's very motivating. But even more than now was like right after graduating,
right.
um because it was like a false sense of motivation in a way.
Okay.
You
I,
graduate
I'm with you.
and you got the world ahead of you, and most people, well, me, I know, you think at being a teenager graduating, oh, I'm an adult now, like
Right.
I know everything, I'm about to do it,
I
so I
made
woke
it
up
right.
every day like, yeah, man, we made it, we out here. So that was like the
Yeah.
most motivation. I feel
Hmm.
like if you know the things like now, being this age with that type of motivation back then, sheesh, a lot of people accomplish a lot, and some people do have that type of knowledge and that type of motivation at the right time, and it
Hmm.
lines up. But yeah, back then it was definitely the most motivated. But then um, life hit, and you had to start working, and you realize that you might not have it all together. You
Yeah.
realize that there's bills out here, and
Right.
yeah, it gets
Yeah.
a little demotivating, and then somewhere in the midst of that you have to refine your motivation. I think that's what I'm in the process of now.
And I'm sorry, people, because I agree. Like I'm trying, like in the middle of laughing and coughing, like trying to get this out. Like
Now you
because
good.
it's so true. Like I was waiting for you to say like, because I was thinking like, yeah, man, like dreams are great, but the bills, like
Right.
they call, like you know what I'm saying, like your light bills, your just everything.
They
And
on
it's
your
like,
head.
right.
Right.
So I definitely understand as well. It's very hard to just keep pushing. Like honestly, I this is terrible, but for the longest time, like it would have to be like very traumatic things to happen in my life for me to like get up and be like, okay, you're alive. Like, go and do something. Go and keep living. Like, literally, like, I'm telling you, like, God had to shut down, like, physical parts of my body. Like, I went blind. Then I was in the hospital for some other stuff. Like, just so many different things, like, physically and, like, just accidents and so many different things. Like, different friends that had to be taken away. Like, it's just
Yeah.
really hard to stay focused when different life shit is just going on. It's hard to keep the dream alive, but that's why you
Yeah.
gotta have creative friends,
Mm-hmm.
and keep moving. That's what I, try to reach out to my creative friends. So, what
Yeah.
keeps you going and inspired? Like, what makes you want to keep going?
Oh, I definitely feel like it's what you just said. The friends. I mean, like I said, I write songs and I've written songs that sound like love songs, but they're about my friends.
Right.
And it's
Yeah.
not about a significant other at all. It's about,
Right.
the people that I hang out with and how much that I rely on them to
Right.
thrive. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
Yeah.
So without them, I don't know, how far I would be,
Yeah.
because when you think about it, like your friends really do pull you through a lot. So
For
I think
sure.
that's definitely what keeps me driving and keeps my inspiration going. That and my family, of
Hmm.
course, my
Right.
family you know, um, and also the people that I have the potential of reaching and becoming friends with, and
Hmm.
any message that I have to share that keeps me going. Because I might not know everything, I might not know much, but I am beginning to learn that people can learn from any story, like I was saying earlier. So even what little I
Right.
have to offer, there's somebody out
Hmm.
there that could possibly learn from me. So that keeps me inspired and keeps me driving forward, and continuing to do what I do, just for the possibility of the future people that I might interact with.
Yeah, that's a great outlook because you're right. Like it's all about relationships for sure. Like you're just gonna meet so many people by just falling into what God has designed you to do. Like it's gonna be so undeniable. Like you just gonna once you tap into those things, it's just like yeah, you just gotta do
Yeah,
it. You have to. And like I definitely tell my friends like I love them all the time. Like the ones that are here right now. Like I tell you all the time, like, hey, I love you, like,
yeah,
like I tell my best friend all the time, like, I love you, like I have to. I just have to.
yeah,
Because I feel like those like you said, like these people, they're not here by coincidence or whatever. Like they definitely place their blessings in your lives because there we meet there's billions of people on the earth. Like, what's the possibility of you guys running into each other? Like, let's see what we can really do. Like, let's have this relationship, like what it can really be. So I think that's good. Like to definitely keep in
yeah,
mind who you're gonna meet. That's awesome. That's awesome.
definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. And I feel like that also kind of keeps you closed off from, or keeps you away from like the no new friends mentality. Because a lot of times with the way things go in this world, people are easy
Right.
to, be like, yeah, I got my close group of friends, and, you know, but the
Yeah.
amount of people that you're cutting off from your art for the creative people out there, because what I've noticed is as much as I try to get my art out to people that don't know it. As
Right.
far as like the masses, you know what I'm saying? Like being an artist, everybody wants like 100 million people to know their art,
Right.
and that's cool and all. But I've had the most effect from the people that I personally know from my art.
Yeah.
So if you're only talking to the same group of people all the time, you know, and you're still trying to get your art to 1 million people, maybe you're not at that point yet,
Right.
but you're neglecting the very small group of people that are in your neighborhood, that are right there in your city, that you could be reaching out to,
Mhm.
that would get the most effect from your art because they can get that personal relationship with you. So
Yeah.
yeah,
I
I
agree.
definitely think that's why it's important, especially for artists, up and coming artists.
Yeah, definitely. That goes with something I was listening to the other day. I've been listening to I can't remember his name, but he's like one of TD Jake's like one of his a pastor under him or whatever. But I really like what he was saying. He just said that the lack of exposure is lethal. Like it will definitely kill any potential that anyone has. Like if they're not exposed to this different stuff, like you have no way to know who you are because your environment, like you were saying, like the knowledge and stuff, like that's all environment is, like us just passing along different knowledge. So if I'm just in the same environment, the same knowledge is being passed around, the same bullshit, like I'm just not gonna be inspired to do
Right,
anything else. Like
right.
this is all I think. This is all I know can exist. Like I had just another
Yeah.
example. I have a friend who I'm not gonna mention no names or nothing, but I have a friend who's one of my 757 friends, and
Hmm.
talking to him about secondary education or whatever in college, and I was just breaking them down for him. I'm like, why do you think you need a degree? Why? Why do you need a degree?
Right,
And simply because like the opportunities down there are very limited.
right.
Yes, and this is very true, but this is not the only place. Like, and I'm sitting here and telling him about all these other organizations he can be a part of. Like, there's just so many different routes that you can do these things. Like the owners of 500 or Fortune 500 companies, they don't have degrees. They want to make sure you have one though.
Yeah,
So,
right,
right,
right.
like do what you really want. Like do what inspires you. Like, and it will always lead to the amount of money you need. Like if you really trust your vision, what God's given you to design, what He's designed you to do. Like it's happened to me. Like I got,
Yeah,
things will move. They really will for you. They will really move.
I
But
agree.
it's hard. It's
I,
hard. Like just
it's much easier said than
yeah,
done.
right. Yeah, just like
Ladies
yeah, I'm
and
gonna give it all to. I'm gonna give it all to God. I'm gonna do all these things. I'm gonna take care of my mental health. Like it's not that easy. It's really not.
yeah, it's
So
much easier said than done. But I think just doing things like this allows people to see that we all struggle with the same situations, and
yeah,
we're all working towards it.
please don't do that. Is have you ever okay, wait. Is mental health motivation different from motivation within the rest of your life? Like, do you have to do certain things for you to take care of yourself mentally, or is it just like that's how you prepare for everything?
Mm. So like, is my mental routine different than like something more physical?
Yeah, like anything period. Like, do you have like well for me, like I have a whole like thing I have to do before I do anything else. Like I gotta meditate. I gotta take care of all these things first before I do all this
Yeah.
other
Okay.
stuff.
Yeah. For me, I have to, for my mental health, I think this answers your question. Before I do anything, I do have to prepare mentally, not necessarily physically, but in everything that, well, not everything. I mean, that sounds ridiculous. I don't prepare mentally before I watch TV. I make sure my mental is drained and then I watch TV. But um, But no. Um yeah, no, for me, I'm really big on my like mental headspace and entering into environments and making sure that nobody can come and alter that. So I
Hmm.
I don't know if I necessarily prepare is where to make myself aware of it, like how I'm feeling right now, what type of vibe I'm giving off before I walk into a situation, and how that could cause others to interact with me. So I think that's all a part of protecting myself as far as my mental health, and then definitely if it is getting overwhelmed, taking some time to repair that balance. Um,
Hmm.
and that sounds heady and everything, but it's really simple things, really, really simple things. I don't necessarily meditate or anything like that, but just I could
Hmm.
take a break and get on social media, for instance, which might be
Hmm.
something mindless that'll take me out of whatever current thing might be going on that might be invading the mental space that I might need to take a break from. Something
Right.
simple as that, or like at work, which is working with kids is really important for you to know how to handle that mental space and your mental
Yeah.
health, because kids more than anybody else can pick up on things that's going on with you that you might not even know is going on with you. Trust me, I
Right.
don't know how they do it, but they do it.
Yeah.
They do it. They do it. So if you work with kids
Yeah.
and you're not having a good day, you better find out how to have a good day real quick,
Yeah.
because they'll call you on it. But anyways, yeah. So even working with
Definitely.
them, sometimes they might get. I work with middle schoolers, child. I don't know if you worked with middle schools before, but so
Yeah.
sometimes you have to take a mental break
Yeah.
before your negative mental health affects them. That's where I'm gonna leave it. So you have to take a break and you have to regroup, and it's different things like that. Or even the fact of going into a situation, for instance, the middle school, and oh man, it's been a tough week with them.
Right.
So you just have to mentally prepare before you even get to work that day.
Hmm.
And I definitely, I mean, I don't know about everybody, but I definitely, that's the steps that I take. Is just realizing and being aware of myself and the situation that I'm walking into,
Right.
and not just blindly going into things. Unless, like I said, it's not always like that, unless it's something, cool, maybe like watching TV. I mean, I don't know if TV is cool, but
I,
yeah.
I get what you're saying. Like, for me,
Yeah.
it's just really hard for me to like when I'm doing a repetitive task, like just I just have the same thing playing in my head. Like, okay, it's gonna be like yesterday.
Hmm.
So like, do you ever get like that when you're working with kids? Like, or is it just like, how long did it take you to be like, okay, this is a new day. Like, I can do whatever. Like, we can do a million things today. We can do great things today. You know what I'm saying? Like, what
Yeah,
makes you
I
do that
am.
feeling?
I don't necessarily settle down into that type of monotony, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Like I can't. That's a part of the mental health aspect of things.
Mm-hmm.
And I try to recognize that just because it was bad yesterday doesn't mean it's about to be this way, that way, this way. And I tell my staff that all the time.
Right.
Because for instance, just this past week on Friday, um,
Mm-hmm.
the one of my staff was bringing donuts for the kids. They were supposed to. They did. They ended up doing it, but they didn't want to
Mm-hmm.
because the fifth graders didn't earn them. And the last time the fifth graders didn't earn something, there was a child in the fifth grade that completely like threw a fit.
Oh.
And then they were like, "Well, I'm just not going to bring them because I don't want to have to deal with that again." And I'm just like, it's I mean, even if they didn't earn it, that's sad. They should have earned it, but
Right.
look at it differently. It might not happen that way again, and if it does, you already know what happened last time, so now you know how to deal with it this time.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And so that's just kind of how I carry everything like that. If something was bad for like 2 weeks straight, I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
everything to me is kind of like a game. Not in a bad way. I know that can sound bad, but
No,
I'm very
no.
competitive not even with sports. I'm not even competitive with sports, but just like in life stuff. Like if it was
Hmm.
bad this time, I promise you I'm gonna fix it next time. And if it's not fixed that time, I'm gonna try again. I'm gonna try again. I'm gonna try again. And yeah,
Yeah.
so that's how I am with the days and things that can get you down that happen repetitively over time, like going in and working with the kids and maybe they're having a bad week. I'm just like, well, we're gonna have a good week this week and try to adjust and figure out what changes need to be made to make that happen.
Yeah. Okay, that's good. That's definitely a big part of making sure you stand on course too. Just evaluating like, okay, what were my intentions? Like, did I achieve that? Like, are we actually moving forward here? Or we just staying stuck in the same old stuff. So I think that's really good to have a leader who's checking in on that stuff because kids need people like that because things is getting hectic out here. Like there, it really is. Like it really is. You know. So,
That's definitely not to say I don't have bad days though when they get to me.
hmm.
And but just, recognizing that that's when I have to take some time and step back because
Yeah.
somebody's kids might get cussed out and I need a job for them bills we was talking about earlier.
Yeah. I know. I know that I definitely had
Yeah.
to step back uh, for that reason. So yeah, I understand. I understand. But this has been great. Like I really appreciate you coming through. We've got like 10 minutes, like 11. So I got like two more
Oh
questions for
wow.
you. Right. That was quick,
That
right?
went that went
Time
quick.
flies
I
when
was
you're
sitting
having
there like a
fun.
whole hour. I don't know, because this is my first time doing something like this, so
Okay.
I didn't know how it was going to go. I'm like, oh, we're going to be up there and be awkward. I was like, but it's Tamika though. We're going to be cool, but it's a whole hour.
Right.
Like, shoot. But this is cool. So yeah, I like it.
Yeah.
It
But
was
I'm
fun.
glad you're doing good stuff. I appreciate you being here for
Oh,
sure.
and an update on
Oh, okay. Cool. Yes. Okay. Well, let's just name each other's pieces now, and I'll ask you the last two questions. Okay. Let me see
okay.
it again. Okay. So we're talking about inspiration. So I'm gonna say, wait. Okay. So I see a flower, but I like this piece specifically, like over in the corner there. Like, can you flip
Oh
it
yeah.
over?
This
Yeah. Like, okay. See, yeah, those are gears, right?
Yeah, they're supposed to be cogs, which as I tried to draw them, I realized I don't know how to draw. So let me stop acting like it. But I thought I might be able to draw some
I like them.
cogs.
I mean, I like them. I think I'm just gonna call it the got my gears grinding. That's what I'm gonna call it. Got my
Got
gears
my
grinding.
gears grinding. That sounds like a song name. I might have to write after this. I'm inspired.
Write that down. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I didn't finish, but here's what I'm doing. I don't really know what I'm doing right now. We got some different stuff going on here. Can you see that?
That's nice. Yeah, let
Thank
me
you.
see. Can you back it up some a little bit? Do you have space? I want to see the whole thing. Oh
There we
yeah.
go.
You abstract. I can't.
Yeah.
I'm trying to make out what's in there. Is that a house with steps?
See, like I've been doing like a lot more with just my shapes and steps and
Mm-hmm.
stuff. Like this is just
I
how I'm
like it.
thinking. Yeah.
I
Mhm.
am going to call it desire to inspire.
Okay, cool. I like that. I
That's
like
my
that a
name
lot.
for it.
Desire to inspire.
Because
Yeah.
it's very inspiring. Like it
Thank
wants to
you.
be inspiring. So um
Thank you.
yeah. I like abstract art. I like your art specifically when you do things like that.
Thank
So
you
yeah.
so much.
Yeah.
Yes, I
Because there's so
appreciate
much
it.
to read into and things like that you can just sit and look at and find something different every time you look at it. And so to
Hmm.
me that's very inspiring. So desire
Yeah,
to inspire. Yes.
I love that. Definitely. And you have to send me a picture of that because I'm putting together everyone's artwork. So please
Oh,
send
okay,
me
yeah. I'll scan you over a picture. Yes.
that. Yeah. So, okay, the last two questions, real
Okay.
quick. So, as a black man, do you think that it's more challenging for you to remain inspired than the rest of the world?
Mm, I was hoping that you picked that one. um, I don't think that it's more challenging. I don't want
Okay.
to say that it's less challenging than the rest of the
Mhm.
world either, though, because I don't know the rest of the world and I don't know where the rest of people come from in their specific backgrounds. But I know for a black man myself, that it's not hard to find inspiration at all because, like I said,
Mhm.
I find inspiration through experience and
Right.
in other people's stories. And
Hmm.
first of all, we live in such a culture of stories and things being handed down. And every time my family gets together, that's all we talk about is stories from, you know,
Yeah.
childhoods and things like that. So that's one aspect of it. Another aspect is your typical what most people think, although it's not always like this at all, but it's a little
Mhm.
similar to, you know, how I started out, but just being in a not so great environment, maybe not like the nicest of suburbs. You know, I don't
Mhm.
want to say the ghetto or the hood, but you know,
The
just
Jacks. Right.
even being in those environments, it's funny because those are so much more inspiring being in the city, in the inner city, than it is being in the suburbs where all the houses are the same color. You know,
Yeah.
everybody's walking their dog at the same time. Like I
Mhm.
can write one story, one song, one rap about any of that. So
Right.
that's not inspiring to me.
That's true.
You
You're
know,
right.
but just being black and having oppressions and certain things happen to my lineage and to me specifically just gives you so much to be inspired from and to be inspired about, and seeing what your family members went through is
Yeah.
inspiring. And like I said, this isn't to take away from any other culture because I feel like they have their own things that they could say the same thing about. And even there's other cultures that grew up in the same environments that I was describing at first, besides black people. Like I grew up with
Mhm.
white people. I seen white
Right.
people in the inner city, in the hoods and stuff like that, and they could
Mhm.
say the same thing that I'm saying. But I just don't think that being black makes it any less harder to find inspiration. Um,
Yeah.
if you ask me, I think it makes it easier.
Yeah. That's that's so cool that you said that because I was listening to Dave Chappelle the other day and he was talking about how he was envious of like his other comedian friends who grew up in the projects. Like he didn't grow up in the projects. He couldn't talk about, stuff that was happening there. He thought it would be fun. Like to, it's like,
Right.
dang, like, I never lived in the projects. It looked fun over there. You know what I'm saying? Like so like dang, like I guess
He
like
did
yeah,
say
like
that
we
too.
got a lot to write about. Like so yeah. You're right. Like it's just all about how you're willing to look at things. So I think that's really beautiful that you're able to take that outlook. That's really great. Really, really great.
Yeah. Yeah.
So one more question. I'm gonna let you go. So
Okay.
what do you suggest or where would you suggest that people would look for more inspiration if they're just tired of the same old crap? Like what should they really do to expand their mind?
You know, I haven't said this whole hour that we've been on here, but
Mhm.
read. It's so cliche. Everybody's like, read a book. Read it. You don't even have to read a book though. Like
Mhm.
even reading articles online, if books
Mhm.
aren't your thing, or
Yeah.
reading a magazine or something like that,
Mhm.
can you can find little bits of information in anything. Even down to like if you're somebody like me, a writer, even the way people write their text and
Mhm.
copyright for magazines or copyright for articles on the internet and stuff like that. I find
Mhm.
inspiration in that type of stuff. So reading is a huge source, I think, of inspiration outside of the obvious. I'm trying to name things that aren't obvious. Like, of course, you can read
Oh, mhm. Mhm.
Mozart. I mean, I was about to say Mozart. That is a musical artist. I'm thinking of why can't I think of it? Shakespeare. You could read Shakespeare, you know,
Mhm.
the plays and stuff like that, and of course find inspiration from that. We learned that in middle school English class. We know
Yeah.
that, but I feel like reading it goes so much more deeper than what people initially think when they're like read for inspiration. Like just the
Yeah.
way that people formulate sentences and put them together, just the actual thought process outside of
Right.
what's on the words. But if you go into thinking, why did they write that? And
Mhm.
and you know, I might feel similar, things like that. There's a bunch of stuff in just reading anything that can
Yeah,
be inspiring, really.
definitely. Yeah, that's not cliche or whatever, because that's exactly what I was gonna say. Read a goddamn book. Like, open a book, read it. Like, they're great.
Yeah.
Like, there's books all around you. Like, I'm telling you, like, I'm pretty sure in the neighborhood near you, near and far, like there's little like tree houses almost, and you can open them and they have like tons of books in there, like little libraries. You can put old books in
Yep.
there, or you can go and get new ones. Like, it's just great. Like,
Hmm.
I walk all the time. There's like 4 or 5 around my house, and I just go and get 4 or 5 books all the time. Like, it's
Yeah.
great.
Yeah.
Just definitely read and write, like whatever's on your mind. Like, if it's not maybe the best of things at that time, just write it out and figure out why that's on your mind, because you don't want to keep feeling like that. You got to get it
Yeah.
out somehow. So definitely writing helps as well, and just talking, like we said, to different types of people.
Hmm.
Just, you're fully like immersed in your thing, like you're just gonna meet so many different people. So let that
Yeah,
continue.
definitely.
So thank you so much, Delan. I
Thank you
appreciate
for
you.
having me.
And I'm excited about all you're doing, all the things you've done. He's a very talented young man. So please go and follow him, see what he's doing. And anything else you got to say, anything you want to add for the people?
Oh, just mm, for you, keep doing what you're doing.
Oh,
I
thank
love
you.
it. And for the people, check them out. Yeah, because there's definitely some gems being dropped and some good information, good art, good conversation. So yes, I appreciate you having me on here.
Oh,
Definitely.
yes. Yes, indeed. We're going to see each other soon. We love y'all. Peace out. We'll talk to you soon, Delan.
All
Bye.
right, love you. Bye.
You too. Bye bye.